I know that book. How's it going?
Personalize? Perfect.
It's a good book.
We don't know this one, but
I read the start cover.
So what did you think of book one?
It was a great book.
Yeah.
I really liked it.
Who was your favorite character?
Probably let's see.
it's been a while since you read it.
Yeah, it's been
You
Is
read
it
it
with
when it
a D?
first came out.
not with a D. It was like it was the roommate.
Oh, Ray.
Yeah, Ray.
Yes.
Yes, Ray was my favorite.
Okay, very cool. You're the first person who Ray is the favorite character. And Ray is my favorite character.
Yeah, Ray's the best.
All right, I think so too. The beanies. Are you a beanie person?
A little bit, not really, but a little bit.
Yeah, Ray is really chill. I really
Yeah,
like
I
Ray.
really like him.
People usually go for Drowsy Donnie because
Yeah, because he's just always asleep all the
he's
time.
always asleep all the time until when he's not.
And
But
then like he just saves everybody. He's like, oh, I have this.
sort
By
of,
the way,
right?
yeah.
I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Yeah, we came here actually to just like look around, and he was like, I don't know what I want, and Shane recommended it, and then now it's his favorite book.
Yeah.
And you're his favorite author.
I'm honored.
Yeah, and when we saw this that came out, we were like,
Yeah.
I'm
because
so
he's been
glad.
asking me to pre-order this, which I probably did. It's probably gonna come from like somewhere.
Oh, geez.
I probably forgot that I did because it was like a year ago. So we'll probably have two of them. But whatever. So
Hey,
that-
the more the merrier.
Yeah, exactly.
Here, I'll give you a bookmark for that guy.
Yeah, thank you.
A bookmark and a sticker. We're going to stick with book two, and this is a bookmark for both books. Alright, so now you don't have to rely on a receipt or something to keep tabs.
Right, exactly.
Yay. I'm actually like I really like collecting stickers, so this is really cool.
Oh, I'm so glad.
Let's do that. Find it covered in stickers.
That's awesome. So have you read any other good books lately?
I don't know. I've read like a couple like book club books, like one was Alchemists of Alexandria.
All right. Jane says we're still waiting. There's a lot of people that saw the RCP that
Before
has.
that was
So you guys are fine with waiting?
okay. Cool.
When you're on the spot.
Do you like graphic novels?
A little bit.
You're more of a text person?
Yeah. It's just graphic novels were a great thing in like fourth grade.
Okay, that makes sense.
Graphic novels were my favorite thing in fourth grade, and then like just having the story in general was a lot better than just having pictures because I wasn't a good reader. I really wasn't a good reader.
I wasn't either. I needed graphic novels to kick my butt up so I could start reading.
And then I started reading like 300-page books.
Okay, what's the longest book you know that you might have read?
Probably the first one. The
Shad? Yeah, that's a long one. That's a long one.
It's like 300 pages. 347.
Yeah, I have a friend over there who she's they are an author as well. And I don't know if you've heard of Sir Cal. Local author, there is a book about it is a good book. There are so many good books.
Is it called Nimona?
No, Nimona is really good
yeah.
too. I really like
Nimona was a book, so
Yeah.
I was thinking of the book one.
I read the graphic novel years ago, before anyone really knew what the novel was, before Netflix even knew.
Yeah. It's a great
The ones that they can find. They're kind
Yeah,
of
like-
I missed some stuff, but like,
Yeah, you can't possibly get there.
I know, I was just like, they just need a box. Yeah.
The animation was really cool.
So
yeah,
I
it was.
It
Like,
really
when she started had a signing yesterday, and my wife is
And what do you
so I'm not to be there. So I got there for her birthday, and I made it. And oh my god, it was such a surprise to you.
You can't go wrong with Judy Blue. I used to love Judy
So I
Blue.
find out about the birthday. I'm just like, this is really nice. It's not for me though.
And all the fudge books.
Oh my goodness.
It's hilarious.
How's school?
Good. I'm ready to be done.
When do you guys have?
it's so sad. Oh no.
Where are you
I haven't read
going?
Fudge.
Yeah,
Oh my
she's
God.
naughty apparently. So she came home and called me rat face one day. Yeah, she's like, that's a fudgy site. Yeah, people rat face. Yeah.
We'll miss you. It just gives us space to sit down.
So,
Do whatever.
and I know.
You can make it more intimate. You can have a good time that way with it.
You still have,
It'll be nice
so we have the virtual.
Oh, yes.
Live.
You have such a nice apartment though.
I know.
So for people watching in the future.
It's like probably our place
Whatever.
would be worth like 500.
Yeah, I mean, do you have a set thing? If you all follow your lead, I can just talk and talk and talk. Otherwise,
Well, let's have
Okay.
Elena do the introduction,
Yeah.
and then we'll do a little.
yeah, it doesn't be too long. We're gonna do shortly. Just chill. Sounds good. I'm just happy to be here. Why don't you come to the front?
Yeah, everyone to the front.
Why don't you come one row to the front?
We were the brave ones.
I was telling you about Sir Callie. This is the author of Sir Callie.
Signed copies at the desk.
Their book is really something. Actually, it came out. Book 2 came out yesterday.
We're not talking about my book, we're talking about your book.
We can talk about all the books.
All the books.
All the books, all the good books.
Awesome. Thank you all for joining us tonight. We are celebrating the launch event for George Jreije's new book, Shad Hadid, I'm mixing the words together, and the Forbidden Alchemies, which is the sequel to Shad Hadid, the Alchemists of Alexandria. So yay! Awesome.
The best of crowds. I must say.
Yes. We also want to welcome our virtual audience tonight. Hi, people on the internet.
Hello.
Yay. My name is Elena Hobabe, and I'm a bookseller here at Left Bank Books. I'm just a junior event host. And I want to tell you about some of the other events that we'll be hosting this Tuesday, November 14th. We will actually be supporting Esme Simon-Smith and Terry J. Benton Walker in a virtual event about their new books, Sir Callie and the Dragon's Roost, and then Alex Wise versus the End of the World. So yeah, you can visit our YouTube page to find the link to that event. And
Do it. That's going to be a good event for the folks online. It's going to be a good one.
one to check out. I'm going to talk a little bit about the author, and then I'll give it over to George.
Sure.
So George is a Lebanese-American author here in St. Louis of the Shad Hadid children's fantasy series, as well as the upcoming graphic novel, Tariq's Bizarre Adventure, which sounds very exciting. He has also written short stories published in collaboration with UNICEF, and when not writing, George enjoys scouring the world for tasty Arab pastries, messing with new yoga poses, and meeting fellow bookworms. So everybody give it up for George.
No, it's fine.
It's good.
Yeah, I don't have anything prepared, so I'm just going to talk about the Shad Hadid series real quick, and then we'll just chat. We'll do that. And I know that the lovely audience will have questions for me. Keep me going. So, Shad Hadid was born probably 3 or 4 years ago, and I was thinking about how I can best represent Lebanese culture in a way that is original in literature and has not been explored. And one of those ways was alchemy, right? And so I wanted to create this character who was very much a reflection of myself, and Shad Hadid instantly manifested, and I wanted to throw him into this world of alchemy. And through that, I was able to explore some of the most wonderful themes of found family, of modernism versus traditionalism. I know that I grew up with a very traditional household, and I myself disagreed with a lot of the opinions and thought processes of that household, and I was able to explore that through the book. I was very lucky. So in book 1, it follows Shad Hadid, who's a 12-year-old aspiring baker who discovers that he's the last in the line of alchemists and is sent to the mysterious Alexandria Academy. Little does he know there are nefarious forces lurking about. And then in book 2, once I've hooked you with book 1, because I will absolutely hook you with book 1, book 2, I take you to Lebanon to learn a little bit more about my culture and kind of my upbringing and the wonderful, rich history of that country and the landscape. So I'm just really excited to have that book out in the world, that duology. We've got more books, as noted wonderfully, coming out soon. And I am humbled that it is out in the world, and wonderful bookstores like Left Bank are carrying it. So thank you in advance for the folks who will have read it online and here as well. That's all I have to say about Shad Hadid. I am happy to just chat about anything and everything, whether that be Arabic sweets or other books that you might have read. Yeah, Ez?
If you could eat one food for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Next question. That's impossible. That's impossible.
You grilled me yesterday. I grill you today.
I did grill you yesterday.
Like only one? Only
Only
one.
one.
Oh man, I know.
Yeah.
This is a
Just
tough
because
one.
I took it from up to you.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to say, and just to stick to theme, I'll pick an Arab food. I'll probably have to say there's this vegan kibbe that I've eaten lately, and it is really good. And for those who know kibbe is kind of this almost Lebanese or Arab meatloaf dish. And one of my aunts makes it in such a way that it has chickpeas instead of meat, and it is the most delicious thing. And I don't know if folks in the online space can see the little kitten wandering about, but it is absolutely the most interesting thing in the world. So I'd probably have to go with that, vegan kibbe.
Can you get it in St. Louis?
Can you get it in St. Louis? Not unless you make it,
Dang it. I was gonna take it.
unfortunately. I know. I have a little bit of a, hopefully this doesn't turn anyone off, but I have a little bit of a vegetarian vegan agenda that I spread in my books, and so for some reason or another, people will be like, here's this Lebanese food, but it's also vegan for some reason, which will probably confuse a lot of like actual Lebanese people, but it's a little bit of an agenda I've been trying to spread through books, and I have the opportunity to do so.
Alright.
Yeah.
What would you pick?
Oh Lord. Wait a second. I wasn't expecting.
You have to be able to answer.
It's only fair that you have to answer the question as well.
Does tea count? What does that
As a food? No, it's a beverage.
Yeah.
We know the
Hummus.
beverage.
I would pick hummus.
Hummus. Okay, so you're sticking to the theme too.
Specifically Target hummus.
Target hummus.
Target does the best hummus.
Okay.
Authentic, obviously.
No.
I'll have to check it out at Target. I actually don't doubt that I've purchased that one in my life.
10 out of 10.
Love it. Perfect.
What about you?
I mean, it doesn't have to like sustain my
No,
like
it
sustain
doesn't
life.
have to be
No,
nutritious.
okay. So I was thinking like pizza. At least it's balanced. It's got vegetables and cheese and carbs.
That's smart.
Yeah, it's like
Pizza is usually a
practical
go-to.
pizza. Yeah, if you
Well,
could change the
French fries.
topping.
What's your favorite?
And French fries are my favorite.
French fries are so
They're
good.
potatoes?
I've been making. We started making pizza.
Yeah. we
I
did.
feel like if I was vegan, I would just eat fries all day long. Like that wouldn't be right.
No,
But
people think
that's
that
what I
vegans
would.
are very healthy,
Oh.
and as I'm married to vegan,
I could just
that's
eat
not
so
true.
many fries. Yeah.
It's very it can be a slippery slope. That veganism.
We used to go on like dates to Five Guys. Just for the
yeah,
fries.
just-
The fries and peanuts.
Those are the best.
Yeah,
They're the best fries. But peanut oil are ones that can't have it, but you can do it.
I love them.
So I'll ramble a second about kind of this theme I love exploring, which is storytelling. And I do this presentation a lot for classrooms and school auditoriums for wonderful students and teachers who invite me. You just saw me talking to one such individual. When I think about the stories I want to write, the first thing I do is I look back at my own experiences. So the Shad Hadid duology, that is a reflection of obviously my Arab culture that I grew up with. Now, as mentioned, I have a graphic novel coming out, and that follows a 12-year-old boy, so also in the same kind of age category, who discovers that he has alopecia and he begins to lose his hair, and it's exploring that a little bit. That is an experience that I, as can be visibly seen, have dealt with. So I really love to see ways in which I can impart lessons through those experiences in my stories. And I always encourage young storytellers and aspiring writers that people always say, I don't have a story to write. I don't know what I'm going to write about. George, what do you think I should write about? And it's the wrong kind of framing because, of course, simply looking inward is where, as with most things in life, the answer lies. And I really love exploring that and imparting that because I feel as though like true empathy begins with looking inward. And so when I look at Shad's journey in particular, like with book one, Shad's kind of exploring this almost overconfident, egotistical perspective of I can do it all by myself. And of course, by the end, he realizes that is not the case. You cannot do it all by yourself. So I think that was what I was trying to work out there with that book. Book two explores this idea of revenge, right? And how we can be pushed to let certain emotions, namely anger and rage, consume us, but we can also temper that urge. And that was what I was trying to work out there. And there's a lot of things happening in the world that will make it such that maybe we struggle with that particular emotion, unfortunately. With Tariq, that is, of course, almost just shedding the ego altogether and this strong attachment to our identity. That was what I was trying to work out there. And I won't go into other books that I have coming out, but I'm still working out what I'm working out in those books. So that's one thing I really love to talk about with school visits and presentations and whatnot. But yeah,
Do you always know what it's going to be before you start the book?
do I always know what it's going to be? Sometimes. Oftentimes I have to write a little bit and discover the character before I can uncover just what the challenge that they will go through should be. Sometimes I think it's something and then it becomes something else. Yeah. I have my wife in attendance here. Obviously, folks who are online cannot see the audience, which is lovely. We have a small but mighty crowd. And she's starting to write now too. And I told her that I apologize in advance for steering you down this direction because it is not it's not a life that I would wish on most people, as other authors in the crowd could probably say. I think we talked about this a little bit yesterday. It's not the easiest path. There's a lot of rejection.
What advice do you have for people who are starting to write and have never written before?
What advice do I have besides don't do it? Unless you absolutely have
Assuming
to.
that they don't want to listen to that advice.
Assume that they don't listen. Assuming that
The
they
best
do not
advice
listen
is
to
to
it.
not listen to that advice, which is always the
Fair
best.
enough. Fair enough. Just do it then.
Yeah.
Just do it. Don't think about it. Just write. And at first, the writing is gonna maybe not be the best, and then it gets better and better. And then suddenly you are behind a podium as if you know what you're talking about.
Do you have any advice for someone who's been writing and then decided that they want to do traditional publishing?
For someone who wants to pursue traditional publishing, this just means, right, you get someone to buy your book instead of selling it yourself. The best advice, I think, aside from that advice, which also applies, is probably to become very good at letting go and not becoming too attached to your ideas or your projects or your books or your characters. There's an expression called killing your darlings, and I think people misconstrue what that means. They think it means chopping away at bits of their story to make it more tight, but it's broader than that. It means that just simply being able to let go of any attachment you have when it comes to a book, because the book that is published is not the book that you sell, and it's not the book that you start writing. So just letting go of that vision, not holding on too tight, or else you're setting yourself up for disappointment.
Can you talk about a little bit about the collaboration process between you and your agent and your editor, Shad?
Yeah, so my literary agent and my editor, this is just for Shad. There wasn't a lot of intersection between the agent and the editor. The agent sold the book, and then the editor took on from there. So my agent and I, we played around with some of the book for probably a couple months, where they would suggest certain edits, and I would make them. And then we just really shopped it right away. And there were a couple of publishers who were interested, at which point I was just pretty much looking at A, the visions and if they intersected, and B, how much money they were going to give me. And HarperCollins won, as they always do. And at that point, the editor had a lot of thoughts for the book, and some thoughts I agree with, others I disagree with, and it was an exercise in letting go. So I would say that once I got over that bit of ego, I made those edits as well.
You didn't push back.
I didn't push back that much. No, I couldn't disagree on principle with a lot of the suggestions. Some of them weren't what I would want to do necessarily creatively, but I understood the reasons behind them, and I had a lot of trust in my partners. I always try to have a lot of trust in my creative partners, and from that point, I kind of just made the changes, and the book has become what it has become, and I'm very proud of it for that. So it's been thank you. It's been a good process. Yeah.
Somebody asked a question last night that I thought was interesting at this event, and I want to ask you, going to talk about Shad. If Shad at the end of book 2 could talk to Shad at the beginning of book 1, what would he say?
hard question.
I like
That's a great question.
Yeah, so the character at the end of book 2 could talk to the character at the beginning of book 1. That's pretty tough.
Sorry.
Maybe don't try and get into so much trouble. You know, it's not worth it. Probably that, as well as, hey, maybe that person you think is terrible isn't so terrible. You know, maybe your perception of how other people feel is not the reality. And I think that's one thing that he has to learn the hard way. Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about working through those like technical topics within like a middle grade sort of language there?
Yeah, I mean, writing middle grade, which is the age category, so books for really individuals aged 8 to 13, 8 to 12, is I think the best age category to explore, and I've written in several. I would say that the most wonderful thing is at that age, you are not kind of cynical due to society and the way in which we are pushed by education systems and other institutions and structures.
Texas.
And taxes, absolutely, and taxes, or Texas, which you could have said either, and both would be true. So I would say that I would say both the institutions and then just everything that's going on around you, and of course, you still have that curiosity, that fundamental openness with the world. And I think that that makes those characters so fun to write because they'll always ask why. And in that question is where the best truths kind of come forth. So that's why I enjoy writing that. And I keep trying to depart middle grade and I just can't.
It's gonna
It's just
keep
too
pulling
much
you
fun.
there.
It really does. It really does. It's just too much fun. So yeah. Any other questions?
Have you always been good at writing since you were a kid? Like good at reading and writing, or like did it develop later?
Have I always been
Yeah,
good?
was it like, you know, in third grade you're like writing the best stories and all that, or did it?
I was always the best at most things I did in life. Absolutely not. I was not even the best reader when I was younger. It took years until I worked up the courage to even try writing. I didn't know it was something I wanted to do until later. And but what I was the best at was believing in myself to a stupid degree that made no sense. And that confidence carried over because thinking that what you have to say is important enough to make up a whole book is an act of confidence. Of course, you get too confident and it hinders you. You're not confident enough, you don't find the courage to do it. So I was just lucky enough to have that sweet spot that I could at least attempt it. And from there, my ego was tempered through years of rejection. And eventually now I'm at the point where I have to temper the ego because of the lack of rejection. So it's always a balance, I find. No, I was not good when I was younger. But I'm glad that I made the leap anyways, and I tried it anyways.
What was the moment you realized you wanted to be a published author? And how old were you?
I think I was probably 20 years old, and it was when I finished reading several adult fantasy novels that I enjoyed. You know, the really run-of-the-mill stuff, white stuff that I probably should have explored more diverse books. And I asked myself, and maybe this is the benefit of reading some of these mediocre books. It was just like, if they can make money doing it, and if they can do it, it wasn't even about the money for me at that point. But if they can do it, then why can't I? Right? Just that important question that you ask yourself, which you should ask yourself about everything, because we can pretty much do anything other people can do for the most part. Yeah. Cool. If there are no more questions, thank you all for coming. I really appreciate you all being here. And I hope you enjoyed Shad Hadid book 2, Shad Hadid and the Forbidden
Finish it in
Alchemies.
one go.
There you go. Thank you. Cool.
Yay.
Thanks for setting this up.
Yeah, no problem.
Thanks everyone for coming. We have copies available at the front desk and we're gonna be here for signing.
Yes.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah.
Better get a spot.
I was like, I didn't know what to do.
Would you just like line up the tables?
Yeah, yeah.
I could still probably make it.
We started like 15 minutes.
Would you like it
Okay,
first,
perfect.
Phaedra, or
Yeah.
just fine? Whatever you
Personally,
prefer.
personally, yeah.
Absolutely.